Amid the arid valleys of Colorado, a massive reservoir is gradually taking shape. This is Chimney Hollow Reservoir, one of the largest water infrastructure projects undertaken in the United States in decades. What makes this project unique is that it was not built to block an existing river, but to transform an entire dry valley into a vast artificial reservoir. Once completed, the main dam will stand approximately 350 feet tall and store up to 90,000 acre-feet of water, enough to provide a reliable water supply for 825,000 people across the region. So how can engineers build a massive reservoir in a place with virtually no natural stream flow? Join Mandarin Tech as we explore how Chimney Hollow Reservoir is being constructed, from the very first rocks placed in the dam embankment to the enormous engineering systems that are creating one of the most modern reservoirs in the United States. Located west of the town of Loveland, Colorado, Chimney Hollow Reservoir is a large-scale water infrastructure project developed through a partnership between Barnard Construction and Northern Water, with the participation of 12 water providers across northeastern Colorado. After decades of planning and construction, the project's main dam was completed in 2025, marking an important milestone in the history of modern dam construction in the United States. With a total investment of more than $570 million United States dollars, Chimney Hollow is considered the tallest dam built in the United States in the past 20 years. The project was born out of a geographical paradox in Colorado. Most of the state's population lives east of the Rocky Mountains, while much of its water originates in the west as melting snow. As a result, Chimney Hollow was built as a barrier across a valley, creating a reservoir that can store water and release it gradually over time. It is not merely an artificial lake, but a vital link in a water storage and distribution system designed to serve hundreds of thousands of people for decades to come. Before a towering dam could rise in the middle of the valley, the first thing engineers had to build was a network of access roads leading into the construction site. For a project requiring the movement of millions of cubic meters of earth and rock, construction roads are far more than temporary access routes. They are the logistical backbone of the entire project. Every piece of massive equipment, from excavators to concrete and asphalt plants, had to be transported into the valley through this road system. Throughout construction, millions of cubic meters of rock were extracted from a quarry located within the project site and hauled to the dam embankment. These roads effectively functioned as a mobile production line, carrying material from the quarry to the dam almost continuously. The road network also had to connect multiple work areas across the site. As construction progressed upward, the available space on the dam became increasingly limited. In the final stages, the dam crest was only about 9 meters wide, making it difficult for large haul trucks to maneuver. As a result, the construction team had to adjust its transportation strategy, switching to more agile vehicles capable of continuing material deliveries at higher elevations. After the construction roads opened access into the valley, the next critical step was to build the system that allows water to flow into and out of the reservoir. The water supply comes from pressurized pipelines located along the mountainside, connected to the existing storage and conveyance system in the region. From these pipelines, water is routed to the valve house, the brain of the entire system. All water delivery and regulation operations are controlled and monitored from this facility. To construct this facility, engineers first had to build reinforced concrete foundations capable of supporting large mechanical equipment. The concrete structure of the valve house was then poured in multiple stages, creating the space required to accommodate the pressurized pipelines, control valves, and operational monitoring systems. At the same time, construction began on a water conveyance tunnel through the mountain. Instead of routing the pipeline through the dam itself, engineers chose to excavate a separate tunnel along the mountainside, completely isolating the water conveyance system from the main dam structure. Construction crews used drilling and controlled blasting equipment to break rock in a series of short excavation cycles. After each round of excavation, the fragmented rock was removed, and the tunnel's surface was stabilized using concrete, steel mesh, and rock bolts to secure the surrounding rock. Once the tunnel reached its design dimensions, the final concrete lining was installed, creating a sealed water conveyance route directly connecting the valve house to the reservoir area. From this point onward, All water flowing through the system passes through the valve house, is directed into the mountain tunnel, and is then conveyed up to the reservoir for storage. When water demand increases, the flow can be reversed, allowing the stored water to be returned to the distribution network. As a result, Chimney Hollow is not simply a place to store water, but a water reserve that can be actively regulated over time. To hold back billions of gallons of water, Chimney Hollow does not require a vertical concrete wall. Instead, engineers are constructing an artificial mountain made of rock and hundreds of precisely compacted layers of material. This is the main dam. When completed, the main dam will stand more than 100 meters tall. In essence, it resembles an artificial mountain built through precise engineering. The base of the dam is hundreds of feet wide to provide stability against water pressure, while the crest is only about 9 meters wide. This wide base, narrow crest configuration allows the dam to resist the enormous force exerted by the reservoir behind it. At the center of the dam lies its most important component, the impermeable core. In many rockfill dams, this core is typically constructed from clay because clay is highly effective at preventing water seepage. However, the Chimney Hollow site does not contain enough suitable clay for a project of this scale. As a result, engineers selected a more specialized solution, an asphalt core. The asphalt core extends from the foundation of the dam all the way to the crest. It functions as a thin impermeable wall located at the center of the structure. When the reservoir is full, tens of billions of gallons of water will press against this core, while the massive rockfill embankments on either side will keep it stable. Each asphalt layer is approximately 20 centimeters thick. Before a new layer is placed, an infrared heating system reheats the layer beneath it to create a strong bond between the layers. Hot asphalt is then laid as a narrow, impermeable core, while rock material on both sides is placed tightly against it and compacted simultaneously to keep the core stable. This process is repeated over and over again, with each asphalt layer stacked upon the previous one, gradually raising the impermeable core from the floor of the valley to the crest of the dam. The main dam is the centerpiece of the entire project, but for the reservoir to operate safely, engineers also had to build a spillway system. When the water level rises above the allowable elevation, excess water must be directed through a separate route instead of flowing over the dam, helping protect the structure from erosion and damage. The Chimney Hollow Spillway is a large-scale concrete structure. One of its key components is a reinforced concrete box culvert that conveys water. The structure is built in segments. First, workers install formwork and reinforcing steel, then concrete is poured to create each completed culvert section. Once the concrete reaches the required strength, the formwork is removed and moved to the next location so construction can continue. This method creates a continuous concrete culvert capable of handling large volumes of water during emergency conditions. Water is controlled within the enclosed structure rather than flowing directly across soil surfaces or the dam slopes, reducing the risk of damage and protecting the surrounding earth and rock structures. After the various construction processes are completed, Chimney Hollow enters an important transition phase, transforming from a massive earth-moving construction site into a fully operational reservoir. Before the reservoir can be filled, the entire system must be thoroughly tested. Water will travel from the pressurized pipelines in the mountains to the valve house, pass through the mountain tunnel, and then flow into the valley. As the water level rises, the pressure exerted on the dam embankment, the impermeable core, and the foundation also increases. For this reason, reservoir filling must be carried out gradually and monitored closely. A new issue also emerged during the final stages of the project. Northern Water discovered naturally occurring uranium in a portion of the granite rock quarried on site and used as construction material for the dam embankment. As the reservoir fills, these rocks may come into contact with water and cause a certain degree of uranium leaching. As a result, the reservoir filling process is accompanied by water quality monitoring, data collection, and the study of operational strategies aimed at reducing risk. Over the next 2 to 3 years, Northern Water will continue conducting tests on water quality, dam safety, and system operations to complete the necessary evaluations. Water from Chimney Hollow will only be introduced into the water supply network after all safety requirements have been met and appropriate mitigation measures have been implemented. Once completed, Chimney Hollow will do more than simply add another reservoir to Colorado. It will also change how the Front Range manages its water resources in the future. The Chimney Hollow Reservoir provides additional storage capacity when water supplies are abundant and allows that water to be redistributed when demand increases. Rather than allowing water to move through the system passively, the project gives water providers greater control over when water is stored, when it is released, and how much water is delivered to each area. From an engineering perspective, Chimney Hollow is also a representative example of modern water infrastructure. However, the project demonstrates that building water infrastructure in the 21st century is no longer simply a matter of concrete, rock, and machinery. The issue of naturally occurring uranium in the granite serves as a reminder that every major project must confront its own geological and environmental challenges. As a result, the true significance of Chimney Hollow lies not only in its ability to store water, but also in how people monitor, adapt to, and operate the facility safely before that water is delivered to the community. If Chimney Hollow is the story of how the United States is storing water for the future, then Rogun Dam is Tajikistan's effort to harness the power of the Vakh River to generate electricity for millions of people. Tajikistan is one of the poorest countries in Central Asia, landlocked, with limited fossil fuel resources, a population of just over 10 million people. Yet in a remote valley along the Vakh River, this small nation is pursuing an ambition far beyond its own scale, building the tallest dam in human history. With an estimated total cost of around $8 billion, the Rogun Dam is designed to stand 335 meters tall, surpassing every existing dam in any skyscraper currently standing in the world. The project is planned to generate 3,600 megawatts of electricity, equivalent to the combined capacity of multiple nuclear power units. The idea of the Rogun Dam is not a product of the 21st century. It first emerged in the 1960s, when Tajikistan was still a republic of the Soviet Union. In the context of the Cold War, Moscow was pursuing an ambitious strategy, industrializing its peripheral regions, especially Central Asia, through massive infrastructure projects. The Vakh River, a major tributary of the Amu Darya system, quickly came into focus. With its powerful flow, high mountain terrain, and dramatic elevation drop, this was one of the few locations in the world capable of supporting the construction of ultra-high dams. In 1976, the Soviet Union officially launched the Rogun project. The objective was clear: to build a dam that would surpass all previous hydropower projects, one capable of controlling the river, generating electricity on a massive scale, and regulating water for the entire region. But history did not follow the plan. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Tajikistan descended into civil war. Its economy collapsed, and Rogun, still only a partially built construction site, was abandoned. It would take more than 2 decades for Rogun to have a chance at revival. According to engineers, when completed, the Rogun Dam will stand 1,099 feet tall, equivalent to approximately 340 meters. This will make it the tallest dam ever built. The Rogun hydropower plant is designed with 6 turbine units, with a total installed capacity of 3,600 megawatts. This amount is sufficient to double Tajikistan's current electricity output, creating a significant surplus of power during the summer months. Rogun is not a conventional concrete dam. It is a rock-filled dam with a central clay core. The dam body is formed from hundreds of millions of tons of rock and gravel, compacted layer by layer. The clay core serves as an impermeable barrier, while the massive rock-filled shoulders provide structural stability and energy absorption. The reservoir behind the dam has a capacity of approximately 13 cubic kilometers of water, making Rogun one of the largest reservoirs in the region. This volume allows for seasonal flow, regulation, more stable power generation, and support for irrigation in downstream areas. The first 2 turbine units began generating electricity in 2018 and 2019, marking the transition from a purely construction site to an operating power plant. The electricity produced during this phase both supplies domestic demand and allows engineers to verify the design and operating systems under real conditions. According to the current plan, the dam body is expected to reach its design height around the year 2029. However, reservoir impoundment will be carried out cautiously and over a longer period. It is projected that the Rogun Reservoir will reach its maximum water level around the year 2036, fully completing the dam's role in regulation and power generation. But that is the story of another project. Here in Colorado, Chimney Hollow is steadily demonstrating that the greatest challenge is not always creating new water supplies, but finding effective ways to store and manage the water that already exists. What makes this reservoir especially remarkable is that it was not formed by a natural river. It was created through engineering, topographic planning, and a complex water management system designed to deliver water precisely where it needs to be stored. In your opinion, should water-stressed cities continue building massive reservoirs in the future, or should they prioritize water conservation and reuse strategies instead? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Mandarin Tech for more fascinating engineering projects from around the world.